Sydney here, and welcome to the Drunken Ork. And in this episode, we're going to take a look at a Stompa I built. Now, I wanted a Stompa for a while, but also they're a bit rubbish. But then I heard the new Codex was coming out, and I thought they might get a little bit better, and they have had a nice chunky points drop. However, I didn't do a normal Stompa, I've done a custom Stompa, which I think are around 800 points. So it's still a bit more, but you know, when the Forge World book gets a bit of a looking at, that might change, hopefully, come down a bit. So anyway, custom Stompa. So I did get it from Forge World, but as I was putting it together, I wasn't a big fan of the Forge World head. Now, there's nothing wrong with the head, it's a nice enough head, but the jaw, this bit, comes quite low, and it's got a belly gun, protuberance, penis blaster, whatever you want to call it, and the jaw's almost touching. There's not much clearance between the jaw and the gun. So I thought, no, this will not do. I'll use a different head. So I looked at the standard Stompa head, and I thought, not a massive fan of that. I know, I'll build one myself. So it is a custom Stompa, but it also has a scratch build head. So we've seen it there in the intro. Let's look at some of the steps that I took to put it together. So here's the front angle of the head. It was just a moon shaped, cut with, or from, should I say, 2mm plastic card, and then using the same plastic card, I just cut some ribs out. Now I did sit down and try and work out angles and measurements to cut exactly what I needed, but then I thought, no, this is far too complicated, let's just crack on and do it. So you can see that's it from the front. And that's it from the side, or more from the side anyway. Hopefully you'll be able to see the shape of it and the ribs. And I didn't want it being too smooth, I wanted it to have flat, just made of flat panels. So I've drawn a little bit of, I've marked around there, you see in the red there, that would be one shape that was basically cut out. I was just eyeballing it, cutting the shape out slightly larger than it needed to be in some cases, and then trimming it down, and that would be a normal quadrilateral shape which would fit on those points. Likewise there and there. Now the next bit here, that shape wouldn't really work because the flat piece would be too twisted. So you'd have to twist the card to glue it in place, and that would then be putting strain on it, which lessens the strength of the bond. So what I've done was cut the piece or thereabouts, and then I made that cut in orange, and that cut allowed the four corners to attach quite easily, and you just had to glue it back together, and it had like a crease in it, you know, the apex of a roof or something like that. Same with that one, that's a weird little quadrilateral shape, would have been twisted, cut it there, and it folded round perfectly. And then just keep on going until you end up with something that looks like that, which is the moon shape. And once you've got it all together, it's actually pretty strong. At that point I might have went over if there was any little gaps, because there was a few little gaps, because like I say, I was eyeballing it, and just filled them in with an acrylic putty, which I got from Vallejo. It's in a little tube, and you just pipe it on and it dries, and then you can cut it and sand it and paint it and all the rest of it, and it's brilliant stuff because it's very mixed. There's no like epoxy sort of parts like green stuff, just squirt it in, lovely stuff. Now I had to mount it onto the body as well, so I did use the old Stompa head as essentially a neck piece. Trimmed it down and sort of cut a groove into it so the head would slot in. That's it attached there, but I do have some extra plates and what have you to put on to cover up some of those joints. Now the Badmoon needs a nose. So for the nose, I just got to scrap a 2mm card again. As you can see, drew a bit of a nose on it. Also sketched a mouth on there as well, where I wanted to cut out for the mouth hole. Then I just stuck the nose directly on, and I added a couple of extra little tabs which went from onto the nose and onto the main body of the head, just to act as nostrils, but they were one piece and were just scored at the bend, and they basically added a little bit extra support as well. So there's the face there. Once I've got some teeth in, I probably jumped a few steps here. You can see I've put the horns, the big tusks, so the horns from the Stompa head, plus some of the little daggery type teeth, which are just bits of plastic card. I've also went round it with a file and just roughed up the edges, every edge, just to make it more chipped and worn and damaged. Easy enough. And you can see there as well, the eye, I've put it was basically like a nose off a rocket. I stuck that in back to front with a little bit of plastic rod sticking out. And that's basically the gaze of Mork. And I think the back box with the cable was just taken off. It was one of the teleport blasters or custom mega cannons on the Wasbomb blaster jet. Just rescued that just to make it look a little bit more like a powered weapon. On the other side, the eye just cut a rectangle out of plastic card and cut a nice slit through it. Nothing fancy there. On that one I've added some rivets around the eye. Occasionally I'll just miss a rivet out and just drill a small hole in. It just makes it, looks like the rivet's fallen out. And also I attached the crow's nest from the Stompa. Just, because I didn't think it was going to be tall enough. So I put that on. And that is it from the other side again. Just a quick test fit to get an idea what it was going to look like. Onto the body. And here I started putting more rivets. Now at this point I was using for rivets, I was using little pink nail art jewellery sort of bead things. They were just 1.5mm pink domes basically. And they were great because I just glued straight on, no messing, bit fiddly. I got pink because I thought if I drop them I'll find them. I've dropped many, I have found none, so that didn't work. But yeah, I've run out of them now. So I bought some new rivets which I want to use on my next one. But the rivets on the eye I just cut off the Stompa kit. The bits of armour plating I had cut or wasn't using, had a few rivets on them and I thought I might as well use them. So I just sliced them off with a craft knife and then glued them back on. So I thought it would look quite cool. And that's a head from the front with all the rivets on. I then painted it, so it was primed black, and then at this stage it has been dry brushed, although to be fair, it was dry brushed with Vallejo metal colour airbrush colours, which is essentially a very, very wet paint because it's for airbrushes, but you can't really dry brush with it. You sort of do a wet brush, but you know what? That's okay. If that was the finished metallic, I mightn't think that, but since I know it's just basically a base, then it's fine. Just get your brush, wet the most off and slap it on. And it takes 2 minutes. It goes so quick. So that's it with the silver on, and that's it from the other side. There you go. At this point I've just put a coat of Guilliman flesh tone skin. I think that's Guilliman flesh tone. It might just be Guilliman flesh. It's a contrast paint. It is a slightly reddy brown, and it is bottle use when you paint orcs and salamanders. So I had some, so I thought I'd find a better use for it. So I use it for my rusty dirty metals. So there you go. So that's just silver, as you saw before, with a bit Guilliman on. So we've got both sides there, just get an idea. And then what I'll do is I'll give it a quick dry brush with generally something in the region of Mornfang brown, and then finished off with something like Riser Rust or just a bright orange. Not too bright, but a rusty orange essentially. And it looks like that. Once I've done that as well, I'll also give it a quick going over with a little bit of silver just to bring out the highlights where all the rust and muck has been essentially knocked off. So once I've got that done and the base is there, I'll go over it and add the yellow. So at this point I've just painted plain Avalon Sunset on a lot of the panels. I generally stipple it on. I know with stippling you can build up the layers and it gives more of a texture to the paint. Now I use a stippling technique not to get that, because I like quite a solid, certainly with yellow anyway, a solid yellow colour. But round the edges, I don't want to paint all the way up to the edges, and if you stipple it, you get a nice, like a natural look, as if the paint's been coming away from the edges. It's chipped away, it's daggered and jagged, and you get that quite nicely with stippling. So that's it with the yellow. You see, I've painted a couple of our little things on. Like I painted the teeth on the glyph and some checks on and what have you. And I leave some panels just metallic because, it breaks it up a bit. Now in this one, there's been a bit of highlighting to the yellow. I generally just go around the edges where the yellow meets the base metal and just do a little jaggedy sort of line with a brighter yellow like Kyriel yellow. And I've also went round with the typhus corrosion, and probably no-oil gloss, and just added little dribbles and stains and what have you, just to, you know, just to make it look a little bit dirty. You can see that way as well. And I tried for the very first time a little bit of OSL, the object source lighting, on the gaze of Mork, just to say, like, you know, oh look, it's glowing green, everybody, you better step back now. But I don't know, you know, let us know how well that's come out. I was quite pleased with it for my first attempt, but I don't think I've done it exactly as it's meant to be. Now there's a body. Obviously hasn't got the arms on. It's been primed, silvered, Gulliman flesh body toned, and also with the oranges and rustiness dry brushed on, so it's ready to take the yellows. It was quite, I'll be honest with you, I found it quite tricky getting the front panel on, because from the very top to the very bottom of the front, on the Kustom Stompa, that's all resin. The gun and the spikes, and even the armour plates at the top, so I've got quite a bit of the plastic Stompa kit left. Certainly all the front of it, as well as some arms and, you know, shoulder pads and stuff, all the spikes. But the resin was a little bit tricky, but I got it in the end, and I just patched up any gaps with a bit green stuff. Luckily the gaps were kind of under overlapping armour plates, so it was no hardship. You know, you couldn't even see the green stuff, but it was there just to block the gaps. Started putting some yellow on there, check it up a little bit as well, a little bit of highlighting on it. I've done the whole front of it, and then sort of started working on the back. So you can see there the back is, well, it hasn't got any paint on it, on the back. So there's the back right side. And there's the back right side with a bit more paint on it. Put some checks on, just put them on a diagonal, just for a bit, just a bit of fun. Just a bit of fun. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I'm sure you've had just as much fun looking at it. Or maybe not. But anyway, yeah, checks. I love doing checks. There we go, that's the lifter dropper arm. Just follow it again, exactly the same as I have for the rest of it. Just get with dirty metals and then add your colour. And if you want to stop adding colour at any point, essentially you can, because you've got that dirty, tatty, rusty, dirty metal underneath, and it's covering every square inch of it. And you're there, you're sorted. There we go, testing it with a lifter dropper. You see the gun arms attached as well. I ran a couple of barbecue skewers through the shoulders just to sort of pin both those guns together. I don't know how effective it's going to be with it being wooden barbecue skewers. You know, they're about 3mm thick, and there's probably just over a centimetre or so sticking into each of the guns. But they seem to hold okay, and you know, they are glued in their own right, so they're not removable, unfortunately. The head is, but nothing else is. So it might be a bit of a pain in the arse transporting it. I'll probably just have to stick it on the passenger seat and, you know, be done with it. But yeah, let's just say a bit of a test fit with all the bits together. Little Primaris there for scale. Oh, he's knocked that paint pot over. Oh, he's such a raj. And yeah, I was just finishing up popping some freehand on. So a couple of freehand Badmoons, one there above the checks. Which, that bit of armour that's on there, it's kind of like a very basic sort of bitmap image, I think, maybe. But it was alright, you know, just another moon on there, just to break it up a little bit of freehand on. And I've done that one on the shoulder, which I just painted on, just in white. And, you know, a little bit of dribbly paint effect. I just didn't know what else to put on that. I like the look of the metal. I didn't want to paint it yellow and cover up the way the metal came out. It looked worn, it looked good, I liked it. And I didn't just want to leave it a big blank space of metal, so I thought, right, I'll paint another moon. And, you know, there we go, I was quite pleased with how it came out. So there you go, Badmoon Stompa. Quite pleased with it, to be totally honest with you. There it is. Oh, yeah, you see that? No, I didn't, it's off camera, but the head nearly fell off. I'm going to take the head off anyway, bars to it. Oh, we haven't picked it up by its pipes. So there it is. It's a decent size. Oh, little up yours. Wow. One of them. On the back, it has got some more glyphs. Tells a little story. Oh, I'm going to reverse your camera now. Tells a little story. Can't remember what it says, to be fair. I think it's something like, oh, rich, powerful, Dakar, Stompa, something like that. Boss, I think it's in there. I think it belongs to the rich and powerful boss. It's something like that. Yeah, it's a decent size. Got a couple of big shooters up there and a scorcher. Obviously a lifter dropper. A big dagger selection arm with all the rockets and that. The head doesn't go on, it just sits on. I haven't decided if I'm going to glue it on, or I might just add a couple of pegs. But then I can't go. What do you say? You know what I mean? I can't turn it around. But it mostly just sits in a cabinet at the minute. Yeah, he's a big lad, big fat lad. So what I'm going to do is, sorry, I built it. Made of stern stuff, that, you know. I always go overboard. What I'm going to do with the rest, since it was a custom stomper, which you get the GW stomper kit, as well as a Forge World belly gun, and the Forge World custom stomper head, and power claw, and the lifter dropper. I've basically got a Forge World head, a Forge World power claw, the chopper off the GW one, as well as at least the front section of armour, and the big skull. There's quite a few bits and bobs. I've kept all the spikes, and I've decided I'm going to make myself another stomper. Now he's shooty. He's Badmoons and he's shooty. And most of my orcs are, I paint 3 clans basically: Badmoons, Goths and Death Skulls. I've got one that's shooty, had to be Badmoons. And since the 2 arms I've got left is a claw and a chopper, this one's going to be, you know, he's going to be a crumper. He's going to have to be Goths, isn't he? So I've got the head, I've got the arms, I just need to do a body. And I thought I might try and do something just like a massive Morkanaut, like a really big, well, that big Morkanaut. Because I want him, he's got to have a transport capacity. He hasn't. He's got no transport capacity. He's got the belly gun. But the Goth one, I want him to be able to carry a few mega knobs, or knobs with big choppers, or something, you know, something that's going to get stuck in. I want to be able to carry it. So I'm not going to do one with a little body and a little head and big legs and arms. I want to do a full, another bucket body sort of thing. Like you know, a massive wardrobe. So that's what I think I'm going to do with that. But who knows when? There's a lot of stuff there's a lot of stuff to do at the minute. I've got some Stone Boys on the go. I've got some Beast Naggers to finish off. I've got some Commandos. I've got some more Commandos coming. I've got lots of things to do. So who knows when I'll get around with that Stomper. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you with a bit of a slideshow, an extended slideshow with some proper photos of the Stomper. I haven't got a name for it yet. The obvious one, which people have said when I put this on Facebook and Instagram and that, which was a month or 2 ago now, to be fair, was That's No Moon. But a friend of mine on the Discord, you probably know him, Tom's got a Gargant called That's No Moon, and the Gargant is, he would sit on him, to be fair. The Gargant would crush him. So I don't want to, you know, I'm not spoiling for a fight against that. So I need a name for it. So if you've got any good ideas, leave them in the comments below. That's always appreciated. Other than that, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, take care.
Grandad?
No, son, that were registered. Other than that, don't forget hit the chips. Other than that,